It happened in the 42nd floor boardroom of Whitestone Capital, the kind of place designed to make men like me feel small. Floor-to-ceiling glass framed the city skyline, sunlight glinting off steel and glass towers like a cruel reminder of how high I'd climbed, and how far I could fall. My name is Miles Carver, 36, Senior Acquisition Strategist. I'd earned that title through countless late nights, mergers, pitch decks, and back-channel phone calls that blurred the line between strategy and survival. But none of that mattered now, because Russell Dorn, my father-in-law, the man who saw himself as the sun around which all our careers revolved, held my fate between two fingers. He stood at the head of the gleaming walnut table, a monument to his own power. 31 other executives watched, their expressions carefully arranged in the polite mask of corporate politics, sympathetic but detached. I'd spent 6 months negotiating the contract Russell now pinched like it was a soiled napkin. He held it up, as though to shield himself from the stench. "This," he said, his voice a smooth blade honed by decades of boardrooms and billion-dollar deals, "is pathetic work." His eyes, a glacial blue that once seemed warm, in a fatherly way, now regarded me like I was a disease. A hush fell over the room. I could hear the click of the second hand on the minimalist clock above the door. I could feel the weight of every person who doubted me, every colleague, who'd whispered that I'd only gotten this job because I married Talia Dorn, Russell's daughter. I could hear my own heartbeat, slow, steady, like the rhythm of a man who knew exactly what was coming next. Russell tore the contract in half with a quick, practiced flick of his hands. The sound of paper splitting was sharp, final. He let the pieces drift across the polished table like white feathers stripped of their wings. "You're not ready for the big leagues," he said. His tone was final, as though he'd carved those words in stone. I looked at the scraps of paper, 6 months of calls, of flights, of negotiations with a European tech conglomerate that could have redefined our acquisitions portfolio. I'd brokered the deal with a precision that impressed even my harshest critics. But not Russell, because Russell didn't see the work. He only saw the opportunity to remind me where I stood, and where he thought I belonged. I felt every eye on me, waiting for the outburst, the shame, the collapse. But I gave them none of that. I leaned back in my chair, interlaced my fingers, and let a small smile settle on my face. "You're absolutely right, sir," I said, my voice calm, measured, unshaken. "I'm not ready for the big leagues." I let the words hang there, heavy in the sterile air. Russell raised an eyebrow, not expecting my agreement. He liked breaking people. He liked the scramble, the apology, the desperate look in the eyes of men who thought they were more than pawns. But I wasn't playing that game. I stood up, straightening my tie, the navy one Talia had given me last Christmas. She picked it out because it matched my eyes. But right now, it felt like a noose. I pushed the chair back under the table, slowly, deliberately, so everyone could see I wasn't flinching. Russell tilted his head, assessing me like I was a particularly dull presentation slide. "Where do you think you're going?" he asked, the words laced with that cold amusement only he could master. The kind of tone that said he already knew the answer, that my life was a script he'd written years ago. I met his gaze and felt the old rage flicker, but I let it pass. Because rage was easy, and I was aiming for something higher. "I'm going to do what you taught me to do," I said. "I'm going to listen, learn, and adjust." I paused, just long enough for his smirk to deepen, for him to think he'd won. Then I added, "I'm going to prove you right." His smirk vanished, replaced by a flicker of something, uncertainty maybe, or the beginning of suspicion. But it was too late. As I walked out of that room, the hush behind me felt like a living thing. I could feel 31 pairs of eyes on my back, could practically hear them calculating the odds of my return. Some might have pitied me. Some probably celebrated. But none of them knew what I knew. What Russell didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I wasn't walking out defeated. I was walking out loaded. Trap. The realization hit me like a punch to the chest. I thought we were a team. I thought marriage meant partnership. But to her, marriage was just another asset, another line item in a life carefully managed. I ran a hand through my hair, the frustration rising. "You could have warned me," I said, my voice low, controlled, because I couldn't bear the thought of giving her the satisfaction of seeing me crack. She shrugged. "Why would I? He's right, Miles. You're too soft for this game." Her words stung more than Russell's ever could. Because Russell, he was an adversary. I expected betrayal from him. But Talia? She was supposed to be my safe place. The one person who didn't. See me as a means to an end. And here she was, parroting her father's lines like they were gospel. "You're too soft for this game." I let those words echo in my mind, testing them, tasting them. Soft. That's what they called integrity. Now, soft. Like it was a weakness instead of a strength. I thought of the deals I brokered, the teams I led, the people I protected from Russell's scorched earth tactics. I thought of Zuri, coding late at night because the system had failed her sister. I thought of every name on that list, every person Russell had destroyed, and I wondered how many of them had been called too soft before he chewed them up and spit them out. Talia sipped her wine and turned back to her phone. Conversation over, as far as she was concerned. I watched her. The way she crossed her legs just so. The way she flicked her hair over her shoulder. The way she curated her image, even here in the quiet of our kitchen. She'd learned well from her father. Control the narrative. Control the power. And me? I'd been the willing fool who thought love was enough to change that. That night, I packed a bag. I didn't slam drawers or throw things. I didn't want to give her that scene, something she could add to her narrative. The one where I was the villain who couldn't handle the heat. No, I'd leave quietly, on my own terms. I took only what I needed. A few shirts, my laptop, the folder with the files I'd compiled on Russell's dealings. I left the rest. The suits she picked out, the ties that matched her dresses, the cologne she gave me for our anniversary. Those belonged to the man